July 30th, 1966. 90,000 feet above the Pacific. A black shape streaks through the stratosphere at 3 times the speed of sound. Inside, 2 men trust their lives to a machine no one has ever flown before, pilot Bill Park. Behind him, Launch Control Officer Ray Torrick. Behind them, a drone unlike anything built before separates from its mothership. For a heartbeat, it seems to work perfectly. Then it doesn't. This is the story of the fastest drone of the Cold War, and the question it left behind. Could it have changed the entire course of aerial spying? In the 1960s, spying on your enemy meant risking a pilot's life. One wrong move over hostile territory could spark a war. What if a machine could fly those missions instead? Faster than any missile, invisible to radar, and with no pilot to lose. That machine existed. It was called the D-21. And its story is one of brilliance, tragedy, and a question that still lingers today. May 1st, 1960. A U-2 spy plane piloted by Francis Gary Powers is shot down deep inside the Soviet Union. The pilot is captured alive. The incident humiliates Washington and ends manned overflights of the Soviet Union overnight. Satellites offer one answer. The Corona program begins returning film capsules from orbit, but the images take days, sometimes weeks, to reach analysts. By 1962, a new threat emerges. Communist China is racing toward its own nuclear weapon, deep in the deserts of Xinjiang. CIA Director John McCone poses a question to Lockheed's top engineer. Can you build an unmanned aircraft to photograph it without risking another pilot? That engineer is Kelly Johnson, the man behind a U-2 and the astonishing Mach 3, a 12 ox cart, already flying in total secrecy at Area 51. Johnson's answer: strip the pilot out of the A-12 airframe entirely. Build a drone that flies itself at speeds no missile can catch. The program is given a code name whispered only among a handful of people: Tagboard. Work begins in 1962 under a placeholder name, Q-21. Within Skunk Works, only a tiny circle of engineers even know the project exists. The concept: a 2-seat variant of the A-12 will carry the drone piggyback, launching it at altitude like a bird releasing its young. The names reflect the relationship. The carrier becomes the M21. Mother. The drone becomes the D-21. Daughter. 2 M21s are built at Lockheed's secret Nevada test site. Article 1344 and Article 135. Only a handful of pilots are cleared to fly them. The D-21 itself is unveiled to its builders, 43 feet of titanium, shaped like nothing else in the sky. Its heart is a Mach ramjet, adapted from the same engine family powering the outer nacelles of the Blackbird itself. The mission plan is audacious. Launch at Mach 3. Fly a pre-programmed path deep into enemy territory. Return. Eject the film for recovery. A specially modified cargo plane, the JC-33, will snag the descending film capsule in mid-air using a trapeze and hook system. Once its job is done, the drone itself is designed to self-destruct, leaving no evidence behind for the enemy to find. Every detail of the program is buried under total secrecy. Even most of the Air Force has no idea Tagboard exists. Building the D-21 means solving problems no aircraft had faced before. Its skin is titanium, chosen to survive the searing heat of Mach 3 flight. Its smooth chine shape isn't just aerodynamic, it's one of the earliest deliberate attempts to reduce an aircraft's radar signature. But a ramjet cannot start itself. The drone must already be moving near 3 times the speed of sound before its engine can even ignite. That's why it must be carried, not launched from the ground, riding its mothership to speed before ever flying under its own power. Guidance comes from an inertial navigation system, painstakingly programmed to fly a precise route with no radio contact and no way to course correct in real time. Deep in its nose, a high-resolution camera waits. Designed to capture what no satellite of the era can: sharp, immediate photographs of a nuclear test site. Mounting a drone atop a Mach 3 aircraft creates violent airflow problems, turbulence that threatens to tear both machines apart before they even separate. Kelly Johnson himself voices doubts. 2 Mach 3 aircraft flying inches apart, he warns, is one of the most dangerous maneuvers ever attempted. Unlike a satellite passing predictably overhead, the D-21 promises something new, fast, on-demand reconnaissance flown almost anywhere, anytime, if it can be made to work. All of it, the engineering, the secrecy, the risk, is funded and hidden inside one of the most classified budgets in American history. December 22nd, 1964. At Groom Lake, an M21 lifts off carrying a D-21 for the very first time. Test pilot Bill Park is at the controls. Throughout 1965, the pair fly captive carry tests, proving the combination can handle the stress of high-speed flight before ever attempting a launch. The first actual launch attempts stumble, hydraulic failures, a module that won't release. Each flight teaches a hard lesson before any real success. March 5th, 1966. It finally happens. A D-21 separates cleanly from its mothership and flies under its own power for the first time in history. 2 more attempts follow that year. One drone is lost to hydraulic failure, another fails to release its electronics module. Progress remains fragile. For safety, the first 3 launches use a cautious diving maneuver, easing the drone away from the mothership. It has worked every time. July 30th, 1966. For the 4th test, the team tries something new, a level flight launch without the protective dive. It is the last time they will. Seconds after separation, the drone's ramjet suffers an asymmetric unstart. Its engine falters unevenly, and the D-21 begins to pitch violently off course. It slams into the shockwave off the M21's own fuselage, then collides directly with the mothership's right wing at Mach 3.2. The impact tears the M21 in half. Both men eject. Bill Park's parachute carries him safely down. A rescue helicopter reaches him within the hour. Ray Torek is not as fortunate. His pressure suit takes on water in the open ocean, and he drowns before rescue crews can reach him. Kelly Johnson is devastated. He immediately grounds the entire manned launch program, unwilling to risk another life flying a drone off a Blackbird's back. The M21 will never fly again. But Skunk Works refuses to abandon the drone itself. They simply need a new way to launch it. Kelly Johnson proposes a bold fix: launch the drone from beneath the wing of a B-52 bomber, boosted to speed by a solid rocket. The drone is redesigned. It emerges as the D-21B, now fitted with a jettisonable rocket booster to accelerate it to ramjet speed. 2 B-52 Helas are secretly modified for the mission. A new unit, the 42000, a support squadron, forms at Beale Air Force Base, California. The program is reborn under a new code name, Senior Bowl. Its target remains the same, China's nuclear test site at Lop, Nor. Years of careful testing follow, refining the rocket-boosted launch, the ramjet transition, and the delicate mid-air recovery of the film capsule. By 1969, the system is declared ready. For the first time, a D-21 will fly a real mission over hostile territory. November 9th, 1969. A B-52 lifts off from Guam in the pre-dawn darkness, carrying the first operational Senior Bowl mission toward China. The drone launches undetected, races over Lop, Nor, and captures its photographs. But its guidance system fails to command the turn for home. Instead, the drone continues straight ahead, crossing into Soviet airspace where it eventually crashes. Soviet engineers recover the wreckage. More than a year passes before the second attempt. On December 16, 1970, a D-21B finally flies the mission as planned, out and back. Its film hatch ejects and parachutes down as planned, but the chute partially fails. The precious capsule sinks into the sea, lost forever. March 4, 1971. The third mission flies flawlessly, Lop Nor photographed, the drone returned, the film capsule ejected, and its parachute deployed perfectly. Then disaster strikes in the most absurd way possible. The recovery ship sent to retrieve the capsule accidentally rams it, sinking it to the ocean floor. 2 weeks later, on March 20, 1971, a 4th drone is launched, the final Senior Bowl mission the program will ever fly. It flies nearly 2,000 miles into China before a malfunction sends it down over remote terrain. Its wreckage will not be found by the West for decades. 4 missions. Not one delivers usable intelligence into American hands. The technology works, but the recovery chain keeps failing at the final step. Meanwhile, a new generation of reconnaissance satellites is coming online, offering similar imagery with far less risk and far less cost. At the same time, President Nixon begins quietly opening relations with China, making a covert overflight program politically far more dangerous to continue. In July 1971, the decision is made. After nearly a decade of secret effort, the Tag Board and Senior Bowl programs are officially shut down. 38 D-21s were built in total. The 17 survivors are placed in storage, eventually moved to the vast aircraft boneyard in Arizona. The entire program stays classified for decades. It isn't until the 1990s that the world finally learns the D-21 ever existed. On paper, Senior Bowl looks like a failure. But the D-21 was something remarkable, one of the earliest true stealth-shaped, high-speed unmanned aircraft ever flown. It proved that a machine could cross a continent at 3 times the speed of sound, entirely on its own, with no pilot and no radio link. It also exposed the hard limits of 1960s technology. Guidance systems too rigid, recovery methods too fragile for the mission being asked of them. The lessons learned about radar, reducing shapes and sustained ramjet flight would echo through decades of American aerospace engineering that followed. It remains part of the same engineering family as the SR-71 Blackbird, a sibling born of the same Skunk Works genius, but far less known. Above all, the D-21 stands as a caution. Even brilliant engineering can outpace the systems needed to support it. In the end, it was the quiet, patient satellite, not the roaring Mach 3 drone, that came to dominate Cold War reconnaissance for decades to come. So could the D-21 have changed Cold War reconnaissance? The honest answer is complicated. Its propulsion worked. Its stealth shaping worked. What failed again and again was the fragile chain of guidance and recovery needed to bring the pictures home. Had navigation technology matured just a decade sooner, the kind of precision later drones would take for granted, the story might have ended differently. Instead, it was satellites, reliable, repeatable, and politically invisible, that came to define the next 50 years of aerial intelligence gathering. The D-21 never got the chance to prove what it truly could have done. It remains one of aviation's great "what could have been" stories. It was not a failure of imagination. It was a machine built one generation too early for the technology it truly needed. Today, surviving D-21s rest in museums across the world. At the National Museum of the USS Air Force in California, and even in China itself, its legacy lives on in today's hypersonic drones and stealth reconnaissance aircraft, machines finally equipped with the navigation the D-21 never had. For a few short years, in total secrecy, a titanium drone flew faster than almost anything on Earth, chasing an answer that history would ultimately give to something else. The D-21 never changed the Cold War, but it changed what engineers believed was possible, and that legacy still